Hello, I am Srini Chipada, sponsor of Warrant Article 9. The main motion under this article proposes Home Rule legislation to adopt ranked choice voting for elections to town-wide offices. By democratic, we mean a system of representation through free elections, government by the people, rule of the majority. Ranked choice voting is not Republican and not Democratic. RCV is about expanding your choices. RCV wants people to vote exactly however they want. Why change? Graphs show how low public approval is for our elected officials. Presidents generally top out at 60%. Since the second Bush presidency, most presidents serve their term in the sub 50% range. Congressional approval has hovered around 20% since 2005. Incumbents win 90% of the time. 39% of our current Congress have served 5 or more terms. The public has no influence on the laws. Legislators focus 70% of their time on re-election rather than working on their constituents' issues. Vote splitting and spoiler effects create endless punditry, polls, supposition, and backroom lobbying. This has become an integral part of campaigning. Voters need to game the system to make sure their votes count. Voters cannot just vote their conscience. Let's look at presidential elections without majority support. Bill Clinton won his second term with 49% of the vote, less than a majority. Some claimed that Ross Perot spoiled the chance for Bob Dole. That's questionable when you look at the numbers, but it's plausible. In 2000, George Bush Jr. won with a minority of the vote. Ralph Nader was labeled a spoiler for splitting the vote in Florida. This is the historical case with probably the firmest statistical evidence. In 2016, the vote totals for third-party candidates Jill Stein and Gary Johnson exceeded Trump's margin of victory in several swing states. They were shamed as spoilers. Professor Cornel West has launched an independent bid for 2024. RFK Jr. is considering an independent run, and they both will be labeled as spoilers. Next, let's look at a local example. In 2019, Fall River Mayor Correa was under federal indictment for fraud and tax evasion. 61% of Fall River voters chose to remove him from office in a recall election. Correa then ran for re-election in a 5% field. Votes were split among his 4 alternatives. Correa won re-election with only 35% of the vote. Diluting the non-Correa vote made a 1% minority victory possible. Constituents got what 61% did not want. How is that a fair election? These examples show that electing our legislators without majority leads to a non-representative democracy. The threat of vote splitting causes prospective candidates to bow out before the race begins. It means fewer campaigns drawing voters to the polls. Voters sometimes feel pressure to vote for the lesser of two evils. Fewer candidates means a less diverse candidate pool. In sum, it means campaigns are less welcoming, less inclusive, and less engaging than they could be. We can rinse and repeat, or we can go local. Our democracy and laws have changed throughout American history, often starting with grassroots action. For example, 19th Amendment was passed in 1920 after 30 states passed it. The Supreme Court struck down laws banning interracial marriage in 1967 after over 30 states passed similar measures. The right to marry was granted to same-sex couples by the court after over 30 states passed it. Ranked choice voting solves vote splitting, reduces negative campaigning, improves diversity and voter participation. It won't solve issues like money in politics, gerrymandering, or voter suppression. In RCV, instead of voting for one candidate, you will rank multiple candidates in the order of your preference. If your top choice can't win, your next choice is counted. Let's see how RCV works. This is a sample ballot. Now, let's look at how ballots are counted. Candidates need to get a majority of the vote to win, also known as the threshold. Ballots are counted in one or more rounds until a majority is reached. Your vote is never wasted. Voting machines do the counting. It is instant and automatic. Let's look at a single seat election in two scenarios. For a single seat election, the winner needs more than 50% of the vote. For a 100 ballot election, the winner needs 51 votes. In a two-seat election, winners need more than 33 and a third percent of the vote. That is 34 votes with 100 ballots cast. Three-seat elections need 26 votes to win, and 4 seats need 21.
Vote for your favorite color.
The instant runoff way.
Instead of voting for just one color, you get to rank your top 3.
Well, purple is the best, but if I can't have purple, then I want blue. And if neither of those wins, then I guess I could live with yellow.
Now let's count up everybody's votes.
Under instant runoff rules, it's not enough just to get the most votes.
You need a majority.
More than 50% of the votes.
So, purple's ahead, but it only has 7 votes. It needs at least 11 to win.
So we eliminate whoever's in last place.
Sorry, yellow fans, we're going to your second choice.
2 more for pink.
1 for purple.
But no one has 11 votes yet.
Still no majority.
Bye-bye, blue. 3 for purple.
2 for pink.
And we have a winner.
The instant runoff way.
Vote for your favorite colors.
The instant runoff way.
Now with fractions. We already showed you how instant runoff elections work when there's only one winner.
But when there's more than one winner, it's a little more complicated.
We have 5 colors to choose from, and we're going to end up with 3 winners.
To start, each voter chooses a favorite color, a second choice, and a third.
All right, purple is my first choice, yellow comes in second, and I'll put blue in third place.
Now we need a scoreboard. There were 36 votes cast. There will be 3 winners.
In order for a color to win, it needs more than a quarter of the vote. That's because if a color gets that much, then it's mathematically impossible for it to lose.
36 divided by 4 is 9, and we need just over that.
So plus 1 is 10.
10 votes is the finish line.
Make it there, and you're one of the 3 winners.
So let's count the votes.
No one's reached the finish line yet. That means it's time for round 2.
And orange got the fewest votes, so it's out.
Everyone who voted for orange first now gets their second choice.
Purple reached the finish line.
In fact, purple has more votes than it needs.
That means each purple voter can take back a fraction of their vote and still leave purple with enough to win.
Under instant runoff rules, that's exactly what they get to do.
Purple has 2 votes to spare.
And that gets divided among the 12 purple voters.
So each of them gets 1/6 of their vote back.
And that little piece will go to their next choice.
Now blue has reached the finish line.
No votes to spare,
So no more fractions. Green is in last place. You know the drill.
Most of these votes are for colors that have already won or are already out.
We call those ballots exhausted.
Yellow didn't quite make it to the finish line, but there's no one else left.
So we have our 3 winners.
The instant runoff way.
Next, where does RCV stand right now as a grassroots effort in Massachusetts? Cambridge has been using RCV since 1942. East Hampton since 2019. Half a dozen communities approved home rule petitions for RCV and are waiting for the Joint Committee on Election Law to take action. 8 communities are in the process of pursuing RCV, and grassroots activity has begun in 27 other communities. In 2020, 62% of those who came to the polls in Lexington voted yes on ballot question 2 to implement RCV for the state and federal elections. Communities highlighted in purple are the cities and towns in the state where a similar majority voted yes on 2. Alaska and Maine are using RCV for state and federal elections. New York City is using it for city primaries and special elections. RCV has been adopted in 49 local jurisdictions in 15 states to elect mayors. 6 states use it for military and overseas voters. Democratic presidential primaries and caucuses used it in 5 states in 2020. Ranked choice voting use is growing rapidly around the country. RCV is used elsewhere around the world at national elections, local elections, and for the party elections. There is no need for new hardware because Lexington voting machines already support RCV. The software, however, would need upgrading. Article 9 has been endorsed by the Lexington Democratic Town Committee, the Lexington League of Women Voters, and Progressive Mass. Thank you, and please support Article 9 to bring ranked choice voting to Lexington.